Hello guys and welcome back to another FPL video. My name is FPL Meerkat and today I've got my Game Week 13 team selection for you guys. But before I get into that, let's have a look at how the team did in Game Week 12. Now it's been a while, so I have to refresh myself on how the team did. And it was a really good game week. 84 points there. A nice green arrow up to about 230k there. So game week 11, I was at about 230k. Game week 10, after game week 10, and then after game week 11, the horrible game week, I went down to about 400k, and now I'm back up to where I was in game week 10. So yeah, I've rebounded quite nicely from that horrendous game week 11. But yeah, game week 12 went really nicely, to be honest. I got very lucky with the captaincy to start off there. Salah was my captain, 16 points. I did actually plan on going differential and going for Trippier as my captain, but I actually forgot to press save on my team. So when I happened to check my team, I was out on Saturday morning. When I came back in, I saw that Salah was my captain and was like, oh my goodness, okay, I hope that works out. And my word, it did. I was 15 points better off because of that bit of fortune there. Very, very fortunate on my behalf. I started Simicast as well, which was it luck? I guess some people would say it was a bit lucky. Yeah, the amount of points he got was certainly lucky, but I started Simicast because I didn't really have any better alternatives. I really didn't think he would start that game for Liverpool because he only played half the game in the Europa League and got hooked off. I really didn't think he'd get the start, but I didn't have any other alternatives, so I started him anyway. And wow, what an absolute haul there. He's completely carried me. He has covered the fact that I didn't have Haaland and he got 16 points. Simicast getting 15 has basically covered me not having Haaland, which is quite nice. The transfer that I made was Maddison to Bowen, who got 8 points, but now seems to have a bit of an injury concern. So I was 8 points up, but yeah, a bit annoying there. 3 points up, to be honest, because I would have just played Alvarez instead if I didn't do the Maddison transfer. He did get 5 points, but I was okay with benching that. Son, the only attacker to blank there, getting a little bit concerned about him. He's not really in the returns at the moment, and with Maddison out, I do think that really harms his impact. Ever since I've got him, he hasn't really done that well, so I will have to consider what I'm going to do about him. But with all the injuries that seem to have occurred over the international break, there might be other fires to put out. Trippier has been okay. I think I'll stick with him for these upcoming fixtures, but Cash has been quite annoying. I do really think I'm going to consider getting rid of him, given the Aston Villa triple up is just not looking as great as it once did. But yeah, Diaby, Saka, Darwin, Watkins all getting returns there. Happy with them. Flecken did outscore Areola. Areola in my team, yeah, he's just not really getting the returns, is he? I am considering a potential goalkeeper transfer. A bit of a luxury move, that one. But I have definitely considered it. I did consider Trossard as well, a really nice differential option for Bowen. Would have netted me more points this game week, and Bowen does seem to be injured, so that might have been a better move in hindsight. But yeah, I was really considering Trossard. If I didn't get Bowen, it would have been Trossard instead. But Trossard is a bit of a rotation risk at the moment. But yeah, happy with how the team has done, and a nice green arrow there. Moving on to the Game Week 13 team. It doesn't look very good. It doesn't look very good on paper, but to be honest, I don't know how many people's teams do really look very good for this game week, considering that Liverpool are playing Man City and Villa are playing Spurs. So yeah, that's 4 teams there who most of us own in our teams. I believe I own 8 players in those 2 games. So yeah, bit of a issue, this one. Honestly, if there were better fixtures out there, I would consider a free hit. I did have a look at a potential free hit team, and I just don't really like it. There's not too many great fixtures for great teams there, and lots of flags as well. Bowen does seem to be a concern. Apparently there's been a scan and that he has some fluid on his knee, which could keep him out for a few weeks. It will certainly see him miss this game week. but I could obviously bench him for this game week. But Cash is supposedly fine. He just dropped out of international duty with a shoulder problem, and it doesn't seem to have aggravated at all, and he should be back for the Spurs game, which Villa will want to play him for. They will want to play full strength for that Spurs game, I imagine. But yeah, I'm not really wanting to make a transfer this game week. Honestly, despite how bad the team looks, I've always said transfers are two things. How many points do you think the player you're taking out is going to get? Don't think they're going to do that well. And how many points do you think the player you're going to get in is going to get? And to be honest, there's nobody I'm really desperate to get in. So I'm very comfortable rolling the transfer and just kind of accepting that this game week looks terrible on paper and is probably going to be quite bad, because I don't think I'm going to get punished that heavily unless Haaland goes off, of course. And yeah, captaincy as well is a really difficult one. I have got it on Salah at the moment, but no one's really jumping out to me. The only other one was Bowen, who now seems to have an injury concern. But yeah, I'm really not too sure about this game week, to be honest. There's nothing massively leaping out to me. And yeah, a lot of tough fixtures on paper. Newcastle, Chelsea as well. Both teams who seem to be performing pretty well, but again, playing each other, who knows what's going to happen in that game. Newcastle had a horrible performance against Bournemouth. Will they bounce back from that? Chelsea scored 4 goals against Man City. So yeah, that could be absolutely anything, that game. So yeah, now yes, yet another one. I'm just not too sure about what to do in the team. So yeah, if Bowen is out, I could just easily start Alvarez. I know that's a lot of players in just those 2 games, but again, not really too sure what I would do instead. And also starting Tsimikas against Man City. Bayer could come in for Tsimikas. Now that Bowen is injured, I'm definitely considering that one, but I just don't rate Burnley's defence at all. And I think that Tsimikas might get some kind of returns. There's obviously a risk that he might not even play that game as well. But the fixtures are so good for Liverpool, I do want to hold on to Tsimikas. So I might just play him in this game anyway and just hope he somehow gets me something from this game. I will want Mbeumo from game week 14 with that home fixture to Luton. A really, really nice fixture on paper. And Brentford's fixtures coming up will just be really good. And they've got an upcoming double, hopefully as well, since they blank in game week 18. So I do want to get Mbeumo in. I could just do Bowen to Mbeumo. That could easily be my move. But Bowen could be back. We don't really know about the injury time as of yet. And Mbeumo does have Arsenal this game week, which really isn't a great game week on paper. I do want to move Diaby, I think, to Mbeumo in 14. I know it's a fixture against Bournemouth. To be honest, is that even as good as we think at the moment? But the fixtures for Aston Villa are getting a lot tougher. I don't think I want their triple up anymore. And I think Watkins is the better pick over the 2 of them. And also there's less forwards to choose from. So in terms of transfers, above average FPL, sure you guys have heard of them. If not, I would highly recommend you check them out. They did a really good video on bonus points, explaining bonus points. And something that I really liked in that video was how they summarized the goalkeepers and the defenders in that video. So a lot of defenders you want to try and pick as bonus points magnets, because let's be honest, when you're picking defenders, you do want the attacking threat from them, but how many times a season are you going to get attacking returns from your defenders? Probably not many. How many times are you going to get bonus points from your defenders? Potentially a lot, especially if there's 1-0, 0-0 kind of games. I know that's not really happening as much this season, but when we're looking for the edge over other managers, picking those players that get more bonus points, especially in the defence, is really useful. So Trippier, obviously a really good bonus points magnet in my team. But in terms of the goalkeepers, Areola and Flecken have been performing terribly in terms of getting the bonus points. And they highlighted how great Leno is as a pick. Not just because he seems to be getting a lot of save points as in games, but also bonus points, because the Fulham defenders aren't good at getting bonus points, but Leno is. So when he gets a clean sheet, he's potentially getting double digits because he's getting bonus and he's getting saves as well. So I'm really interested in getting Leno into the team. And it is kind of a move that if I've got nothing else to do, I could do Flecken to Leno. I know that Flecken has got a double coming up, but I could easily just get him back if I want him for the double that badly. I have 2 goalkeepers, and Leno just seems like a good pick. He just seems like a good pick in terms of getting the points. I'm just going to bring on screen here as well. So over on Twitter, I do a lot of stuff on Twitter. If you guys haven't checked me out, I've done a FDR here, a fixture difficulty rating, and I divided it by defenders and attackers. So I'm a bit fed up of using FPL's own fixture difficulty ratings because I think that there's not enough categories for them, and they're not split up by home and away and attackers and defenders. So I've decided to make my own here. It might look quite complicated, a bit of a color mess when you first look at it. But basically I've sorted it by how good the fixtures are so this one's for defenders in the next 8 fixtures. Fulham there are pretty decent as well. I've put Brentford and Man City at the bottom there because they've got a blank coming up and I wasn't too sure how to factor in a blank into this difficulty system. But as you can see, for defenders, Liverpool and Villa are 2 of the top 3. So I do really like holding on to Cash and Tsimikas. As you can see there for Villa, the fixtures are fairly difficult. Obviously, keeping a clean sheet against Spurs, pretty difficult. I should mention. So the dark green is a 1 on the fixture difficulty. The green there is 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then those have been added up into the totals. Maybe a bit complicated, but I do explain how all of this works on my Twitter if you want to go and check that out if you're interested in this kind of stuff. But yeah, Villa have some difficult fixtures there, especially with Man City, Arsenal, Spurs. But they've also got incredibly good fixtures there with Sheffield United, Burnley, and Bournemouth coming up in terms of keeping clean sheets. So they're actually one of the better teams. So if you can rotate someone like Cash with another defender, it could work out really nicely. And as you can see there, when Liverpool play Sheffield United, Villa play Man City. So that's quite a good rotation there. So yeah, I do want to hold on to these 2. And also Leno as well. Looks like an interesting asset. Pretty good there. The fixtures over the next 5 aren't as good, but for goalkeepers, they are sort of just you just want to sit them there. You just want to sit them there and hope they rack up the points because they can get some monster scores in tough fixtures. And then also, I'll just flash on screen here for the attackers. The attackers you want to get in. Burnley and Bournemouth seem to be the top 2 with Wolves over the next 8 game weeks. This is until game week 20 when we get another wild card. So you could potentially look to shake up your teams a bit. And it is interesting how low down I've got basically all of the big teams. Man United consistently bottom, Newcastle at the bottom as well. Arsenal and Liverpool, fixture difficulty for an attacker isn't great. Liverpool, you can see there, they've got good ones coming up with Fulham and Sheffield United. But then Crystal Palace away, not great. Man United at home, not great. I mean, Liverpool always do well in that fixture, so it could be really good, to be honest. But Arsenal at home, pretty difficult. Burnley, a great one, but then Newcastle at home. So it's a bit topsy-turvy for Liverpool there. But yeah, I hope you guys like this kind of stuff. I do a lot of this kind of stuff on my Twitter. But yeah, this is sort of some of the decision making that I'm doing in terms of my picks, using more than just the FPL's FDR because I think it is a bit outdated and yeah, needs a lot more categories, and obviously for the attackers and the defenders there. If you've got any questions about it as well, get your questions down in the description. So using these 2. In terms of the transfers I want to be making, I've potentially four transfers I've written down. I'm not too sure which one is my favourite. It's probably the Bowen one if he is injured. Ideally, I would like to roll the transfer, but it really depends on this Bowen news. So if Bowen is out, and Burmo or Eze are my top 2 that I'm thinking about. Crystal Palace just got good fixtures coming up. Eze on penalties, and I think Crystal Palace could really bounce back. So yeah, Eze is really in my thoughts, as well as in Burmo, depending on whether I want to get him straight in. Cash could be, if Cash is leaving my team, Ben White and Reece James are the top 2 that I'm looking at. Fairly similar in price, a little bit more expensive, but Ben White, good fixtures coming up. Maybe not in the super long term, but these next 3 are really good. If I was to get him in, I would get him in now pretty much. And he was mentioned on the Above Average podcast that how good he is at getting the bonus points. So yeah, he will just gradually outscore the other Arsenal defenders. Maybe not Saliba, he's also quite good at it, but that's because he's started every game as well, or most games I think. And Reece James, the fixtures are just looking really good for Chelsea coming up. So yeah, definitely in my thoughts there, if he can stay fit, of course. Again, these are sort of moves I'm doing a bit early because, especially with Chelsea, the fixtures are getting really good for them in 4 game weeks time, I think it is. But I am a bit worried about that because I would say when it comes to making transfers, I would highly prioritize players that play a lot of minutes because we're coming up to an incredibly busy period. We've got 8 game weeks, I think it is, in just over a month. So you really want to be picking these players who play a lot of minutes. Speaking of which, my other move, if Bowen is fine, I could be doing Alvarez to Solanke. Now, as you can see there for attackers, Bournemouth second highest on the attacking fixture difficulty rating. Really, really good fixtures coming up for Bournemouth. I feel like they've turned over a new leaf after that win against Newcastle, and Solanke just is the talisman on penalties for that Bournemouth team. Really nice differential. I could be thinking about going there. Even if Bowen's injured as well, I could bench him, and I'm not too keen on Alvarez. Solanke could be coming in. I think that'll probably be my most likely transfer if I'm going to make one this game week, unless Bowen is out for longer than is expected. And then the last one I could have obviously mentioned is Flecken to Leno, which is less in my thoughts, but I do really like the prospect of having Leno in the team. I just think he'll continue to rack up points, as was mentioned on the above average podcast. So yeah, definitely check them out as well. Moving on to the mini league team of the game week. Enugu Rangers FC was the top performing team with 98 points. Simicast there again with the 15-pointer. Salah and Haaland both with their 16 pointers. Haaland captained as well. Bowen, Palmer, Saka, Watkins, full house of returns from the attack. Really nice, even benching Burmo for his blank. And Porro as well getting a return. A really, really nice score of 98 points. So yeah, really, really well done to you there, Tuma. And then we're moving on to the leaderboard. It's not really changed too much this time around. If you saw the leaderboard from the Game Week 12 team selection video, it's not really changed up too much. We're now almost filling out all of the gold medals there. Of course, more than one team can win a gold medal in a game week if 2 teams finish top. And all the silver medals seem to be getting removed from the leaderboard. I've put 20 teams here because it's probably the most I could fit on the leaderboard there. But we've also got a few teams with 3 top 10 finishes. I'm still yet to have a top 10 finish. I know there's a few of us now in the mini league who have been there from the start and haven't gotten a top 10 yet. Really rooting for us, guys. But yeah, that's currently how the leaderboard is looking. And I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please leave a like and get subscribed to the channel if you are enjoying this kind of video. I'm going to be making a lot more content with how close all the deadlines are coming up. So yeah, be sure to stay around for that kind of content. And I'll see you in the next FPL video.